Welcome back to Dr. Barbecue. I'm your host, Dr. Darren Grouleau, aka Dr. Barbecue. Today, I want to make something that my family absolutely loves, and again, who doesn't love chili? But this is going to be a special chili. This is going to be what's known as over-the-top chili. Why is it called over-the-top chili? You'll find out in just a minute. As far as ingredients, it looks like there's a lot that goes into this, and there is, but it's pretty simple stuff. I've got 1 pound of ground beef, and in this case it's ground brisket. You can use ground chuck. You do an 80-20 mix. I've got 1 pound of ground pork. I also had some leftover brisket from a previous cook. Might as well go ahead and put that in there. It'll add a lot to it. I've got an egg, red pepper, green pepper, onion. I'm using red. You can use a sweet Vidalia, white. Doesn't really matter too much. 150 milliliters of beer. Now, as far as the kind of beer, I think that an IPA works great in this recipe. I didn't have an IPA on hand. I'm going with an ale. It'll work perfectly fine. I have got 6 tablespoons of my favorite store-bought chili mix. Yes, you can make your own, and I've done it plenty of times. I just happen to have some of this laying around. This is Meat Church, Texas chili mix, and I've got 6 tablespoons of it here. Since I had it, again, might as well use it. Little olive oil, some Worcester. Gonna need some garlic. I have minced garlic here, so I don't have to do my own cloves. We're gonna need about 3 cloves worth. Some barbecue sauce. Now, in this case, again, what kind of barbecue sauce? Completely up to you. I had this bottle that I was given at one of my KCBS competitions. It's a nice barbecue sauce. It's not really one that I would use a lot in other areas. So again, when you're mixing it into a recipe like this is a great option. Something that is good, but you don't mind kind of using when you're combining it with other things. I've got 1 can of Bush's baked beans, a couple cans of, what do we got here? Diced tomatoes. Yep. This is a big one. This is chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. Now I'm going to be dicing this up fine, and I'm going to be including the adobo sauce. Now, this is going to add a lot of smoke and a fair bit of spice. If you like your chili to be more on the mild side, you can go ahead and just omit this, go with the other stuff to adjust the spiciness. But this stuff, if you're comfortable with a little bit of spice, not killer, it's not going to burn your face off, but this makes an amazing difference in chili. It really takes it over the top. I've got some black beans. Why? Because I am from the school that beans do go in chili. This is not your traditional Texas no bean chili. I like that, but to me, it's not chili, it's a meat sauce. I'm from the north, we do chili con carne, and in chili con carne, you include beans. I like it, that's a personal preference, you do you. And then I've also got a couple cans of Rotel. Now Rotel are tomatoes that are diced with some green chilies. So it's a little bit of a Texas tomato kind of diced tomato mix. It comes in both regular and spicy. I'm just going with the regular here. Again, if you want to up the spice, you can go spicy. So I'm going to start to get all of these things combined, and I'll bring you back in just a moment and you see how it all kind of comes together. Alrighty, here I have everything prepped, just about ready to go. So over here, my meat. This is the combination of the ground brisket, the ground pork. I've got some Worcester sauce, a little barbecue sauce, and then an egg as a binder. Mix all of that up. I've created it into a little bit of a log or football shape. Now here's a bit of a trick that works really well, a good hack. I am now going to put this into my freezer for about 30 minutes. That'll really help it to firm up and hold its shape so that when it goes on the smoker, it just doesn't all fall apart. Right now it's a little bit wet. We want that to firm up. 30 minutes in the freezer does a great job. Over here, this is everything else. So I diced up the green pepper, red pepper, the onions. I then sauteed them off with some garlic. I put that into this big Dutch oven. I then added in all of the other ingredients. So it included the seasoning, the beer. It included the black beans that were rinsed off. Wanted to rinse them. You don't want to have that liquid going in there as well. It's liquidy enough as it is, and it'll cook down. There are the 2 cans of the diced tomatoes. There's the 2 cans of the Rotel. I took the chilies and adobo sauce and I diced them up really fine. And this is good too. If you're going to use chilies and adobo sauce, they're pretty powerful stuff. So you want to make sure that you dice it up really fine and get it mixed in, including the adobo sauce. But you want to make sure you don't have too big of chunks, because if you get a big chunk of the chili and adobo sauce, it can be a bit overpowering. I then also included the brisket that I had left over. Now, I'm not going to include that in here because the brisket was already cooked. So I just diced it up nice and fine, mixed it in, and then as that simmers over a few hours, that brisket is going to break down and become nice and tender anyways. Add some smokiness to this because it was a smoked brisket. It's going to add some more texture, and it's just going to enhance the meat quality of what we've got in here. So when all of that was combined, I'm now going to go ahead and put this on my smoker on the lower rack for the 30 minutes while this sits in the freezer. Might as well. It's got to cook down anyways, so while this firms up in the freezer, this will go on the lower rack, and then I'll be back in 30 minutes to show you how we then let it set up in order to cook for a number of hours, and we'll go from there. All right, welcome back. So I have had the meat sitting in my freezer wrapped up this way for about 30 minutes just to let it firm up a little bit. We've had the chili in the Dutch oven going for that time period on the smoker. But remember too that it's set at 275. That's the temperature I'm going to run at. So now it's time to get that meat on, and let me show you exactly how we do this. So you can see I've got the Dutch oven on the lower rack pushed back a little bit, and all I'm going to do is unwrap the meat now. It should have firmed up enough that it'll hold its shape. And that way we'll be able to put it on the top rack above the Dutch oven and let it smoke for a good few hours. So we want to try and get it to keep its shape, and it's going to go right up above, right in the middle, just like that. And what will happen is that as it smokes and cooks, it's going to take on that smoke flavor. Remember, smoke is a seasoning just like any other ingredient, so you can use it to your advantage to accentuate the final food. It's going to take on smoke profile, it's going to cook. As it cooks, the juices that render out are going to fall down into the chili below it, get captured and mixed into that beautiful sauce. That way we don't lose any of that flavor. So we're going to let this run now for a good 2 hours, and then we'll come back and check it. If the meat's ready, we'll be able to break it up and incorporate it into the rest of the chili mix and let it keep going from there. See you back here in a couple hours. All right, welcome back. Now 2 hours have elapsed. I did come out here at the 1 hour mark, and I gave the chili mix in the Dutch oven a good stir just to get it all incorporated. Another hour has then gone by where the meat has been smoking. It's looking great, taking on a lovely color. It's been rendering all that fat, and the juice is dripping down into the chili to save all of that great flavor. It's now ready for me to break up the meat mix, incorporate it into the chili, give it a good stir, and then let all of that continue to simmer away on the smoker for a couple more hours. So let's take care of that. Now, yes, I'm wearing my insulated nitrile gloves with cotton liners so I don't burn my hands. I do not have Teflon fingers, and I don't feel like burning myself. Let's take that meat, just break it all up, get it incorporated. Get it mixed in really well. Don't want to miss any of it. There we go. Going to give that a really good stir now. Break up that meat even a little bit more. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love, love, love a really good chili. I always make a big batch like this. I'll freeze a bunch of it. We'll save it. Especially in the winter time, it's nice to be able to just pull a batch out of the freezer, heat it up, make for a real nice winter meal. But even in the summertime, love chili, chili burgers, chili fries, all good stuff. Smell coming off of here is fantastic already. There we go. You can see that's all nice and mixed up now. Let's let that keep on going for a bit longer here. That pushed back in there. There we go. So we'll close that up. We're going to let that go for a couple more hours. I'll come back again in 1 hour, give it another good stir. After 2 more hours, we'll check it, see if it's thickened up enough and if it's ready to go. Maybe try it, let it go a little longer if it's needed. This is kind of the finishing point now. We'll see how long it takes. Shouldn't be too bad though. I'm expecting a couple more hours. I'll see you back here in a little bit. All right, guys, it figures that just as I was about to take my chili off the smoker and finish things up, finish making my video the whole bit, of course, the skies open up and it's starting to rain. So I am going to grab a bowl. I'll show you what it looks like. It's smelling fantastic, but I don't feel like standing out here too long and getting soaked. So let's get that off and show you what we got. All right, so here we have the finished chili, looking and smelling fantastic. And I was able to kind of pull things underneath the awning of my my cooking area here just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get a bowl set up so that I can actually try this, and I'll give you an honest opinion on how I think it turned out. All right, quick review on what we did here today. I went ahead and I sauteed green pepper, red pepper, onions, a little bit of garlic. Put that into a Dutch oven along with a couple cans of diced tomatoes, a couple cans of rotel, 1 can of chipotle peppers and adobo sauce that I diced up quite finely. Added in a can of rinsed black beans, as well as some 150 milliliters of beer, and mix that all in as far as the sauce. Then for the meat, we had a pound of ground brisket, pound of ground pork. There was an egg, some Worcester. Mix that up, put it in the freezer to let it firm up. The Dutch oven with the chili mix itself went on the lower rack on my smoker at 275 degrees for a half an hour while the meat was in the freezer firming up. The meat then went on the upper rack above the Dutch oven so that as it smoked and rendered the fat, the juices dripped down into the actual chili mix itself and all got incorporated into it. We let that go for 2 hours, then broke up the meat, incorporated it into the chili, and then let that simmer for another 2 hours. So all in all, it's been cooking for, well, 4 hours total, 4.5 hours for just the chili mix while the meat was firming up in the freezer. Smells great, nice and thick. It's got a good consistency to it. It hasn't dried out too much, but it's not too watery. I want to go ahead and try this now, and I'll let you know how I think it turned out. Oh, don't forget, we had some leftover brisket as well. I chopped that up, just happened to have some left over in the freezer. And so I thawed it, chopped it up really fine, put it in the mix, and let that break up and get incorporated as well. So we'll get a nice crock of it here. Bit of the sauce, looking good. Smells fantastic. Now, everybody likes chili a little bit differently. Personally, I like a little bit of sour cream on mine, so we'll get a dollop of that here. Just like so. And then in addition, I grated up some nice, really good sharp cheddar cheese. I love cheese on just about everything, but it goes great on chili as well. There we go. Now, I don't know if I'm going to add any additional hot sauce yet or not. Personal preference. I want to try it first. If it needs a little bit more of a kick, I can easily go ahead and add some of this. Most of the seasoning and the spice is obviously going to come from that Meat Church seasoning package that I included. It's a pre-made one. Fantastic, fantastic chili seasoning. In fact, all the Meat Church products are fantastic in my opinion. I use them a lot in different barbecues, whether it's the different rubs that they have. They do some great recipes online. Check them out. Wonderful company, and they make some great products. For store-bought stuff, it's probably my overall favorite that I use. And so we'll see how spicy it is, and then you can always tweak it a little bit here and there if you need it to. Personal preference. Now, this is still pretty hot. Let's see. That's a fantastic chili. Again, it's not too dry, not too watery. It's not like soup. Great consistency, really good spice. I actually don't think I want to put any more hot sauce in it. Not that it's too hot, but it's just got such a great flavor to it the way that it is. Nice texture, beefy. You get a little bit of the bites of the brisket in small chunks, just a little bit in there as well. So it's great that that's in there. Boy, oh boy. This is going to be great stuff. I'm going to be freezing most of this, and then we'll just save it, like I said. A lot of times we'll make big batches and save it for the winter for wherever we need just a quick meal. I know that tonight, though, my wife was asking for some of this as well, so I need to feed her and myself, and I'll probably go through a few bowls of this tonight because it's so good. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. Again, with something like chili, tweak it. Change the recipe. If you like a certain flavor in it, add more. If you don't like the pepper, take that out. If you don't like the beans, leave it out. You know, there's so many different things that you can put into a chili and make it yours. Product's great. There's a great recipe that I think is fantastic, and I love it. I've actually used this recipe here in some barbecue contests as well. Took a second place in a chili cook-off with one that's almost identical to what I did here today as well. So it's really great stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully we'll see you again at the next one real soon. Everybody take care, and remember, fire up that grill, make some food, put smiles on faces, have some fun. Take care.